Imagine a city claimed by 3 religions, 5 countries, and billions of hearts, Jerusalem. But what really happened to it after World War I? That's when everything changed, not just war, but a nation's fate. Before things got messy, Jerusalem was under the Ottoman Empire, peaceful, multicultural. Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived side by side. Not perfect, but relatively stable. But when World War I erupted, the Ottomans joined in, and lost. After that, maps of Palestine, including Jerusalem, were redrawn by people who didn't even live there. The British entered as victors and said, "Don't worry, we'll protect this land." But behind the scenes, they had already made 2 conflicting promises. First, they promised the Arabs, "Support us against the Ottomans, and we'll grant you independence." Then they promised the Zionist movement, "We'll help you build a national home in Palestine." This was the beginning of deep confusion. Palestine was promised to both sides, and once the British took over Jerusalem, the tension began. In 1917, the British issued the Balfour Declaration. It declared support for a Jewish national home in Palestine. To Muslims and Arabs, it felt like betrayal. For many Palestinians, that paper wasn't just a promise, it was a warning. A sign they'd soon be pushed off their own land. And it all began in Jerusalem. During the 1920s, Jewish immigration surged. The British helped, and the local Arab population began to feel like strangers in their homeland. Clashes broke out, not full wars, but rising hostility, mistrust, and unrest. Jerusalem was no longer quiet. Then came the Arab Revolt of 1936 to 1939. Palestinians rose up against British rule and Jewish immigration, but Britain hit back harder. To outsiders, it seemed like 2 sides fighting. But for locals, it felt like being colonized, again, just under a different name. Jerusalem became the symbol of that pain. After World War II, the world's sympathy shifted, especially for Holocaust survivors. Palestine became the solution, but no one asked the people already living there. In 1948, Israel declared independence, and Palestine, especially Jerusalem, erupted into open war. The Nakba began, mass displacement. Since then, Jerusalem was never the same. The West recognized it as Israel's, but for Muslims, it remained a sacred land, taken, not shared. Today, the city's status is still in dispute. Israel claims it all. Palestinians want East Jerusalem as their capital. Every Ramadan, every Friday, every year, tensions flare at Al-Aqsa. Jerusalem isn't just a place. It's a wound, a prayer, a symbol. And all of this, all the violence, division, and pain, began with promises made after World War I, promises that contradicted each other. Many ask, can there ever be peace? But how can peace grow when the truth of the past is still denied? Jerusalem remains the heart that beats within the Muslim world, but sometimes, that heartbeat feels like pain. This isn't a black and white tale. It's about broken promises, lost homes, and rewritten history. Jerusalem carries all of that. If we want to understand today's conflict, we have to go back to the moment war ended, and a new kind of battle began. Jerusalem doesn't belong to one religion. It belongs to history, and that history is too important to ignore. Jerusalem reminds us that behind every conflict, there are human lives in pain. When we look at history not to blame, but to understand, that's when hope can begin to grow. Because the world doesn't need more walls, it needs more bridges. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more history.